The 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix incident between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton reignited a rivalry that transcends the track. The clash, contested in the tight confines of the Hungaroring, provoked controversy and intense scrutiny. Officials launched an investigation into the incident, aiming to clarify collisions and assign responsibility. Initial statements offered limited transparency, leaving fans and teams seeking clarity amid speculation. New insight has now emerged, shedding light on the nuanced sequence of maneuvers and intent. The revelation centers not on blame, but on context, angles of approach, terrain conditions, and split-second reactions, each a variable in the intricate choreography of high-speed racing. This fresh context has added depth to the narrative, transforming simplistic judgments into layered understanding. It underscores how, even in conflict, the truth in Formula One often lies in the details: aerodynamic wake, tire grip, racing lines, none of which excuse poor judgment, but all of which frame it. The new clarity serves not only to resolve immediate questions, but also to remind that competitive collisions are often as technical as they are emotional. A detailed reconstruction of the collision sequence reveals subtleties that alter the perception of intent. The precise telemetry data indicates that Verstappen's steering input deviated by fractions of a degree earlier than expected, initiating contact in a corner where space was already divided. Hamilton, in turn, maintained his line with minimal deviation. The new insight shows that Verstappen's trajectory, rather than being overtly aggressive, was a split-second extension of his qualifying line, yet one that triggered contact due to channeling effects and minor track undulations. Analysts highlight that on the Hungarian surface, minor deviations are amplified through mechanical feedbacks. The collision was neither premeditated nor reckless, but a convergence of marginal trajectory shifts and track forces. This distinction recasts the incident. Not a breach of sporting intent, but a fine illustration of motorsport's razor-thin margins. In this light, the investigation took on a tone of forensic clarity, examining physical causality more than psychological motive. It reinforces that racing incidents rarely stem from clear intent, but rather from the interplay of performance limits and human instinct. Telemetry and trackside video, coupled with high-resolution onboard footage, provided engineers with the tools to reconstruct the event frame by frame. Speed sensors show Verstappen's car clipped into a higher RPM range earlier than usual, suggesting a late adjustment in throttle application. Hamilton's data indicates stable parameters, reflecting defensive positioning. Witness cameras confirmed that Verstappen's trajectory aligned with a late apex entry, possibly attempting to carry more speed. The emergent understanding is that aerodynamic disruption from Hamilton's rear wing may have combined with surface bumps to destabilize Verstappen's rear, causing sideways movement that resulted in the incident. This nuanced finding reframes the debate. Collisions are often structural, not narrative. The focus shifted from intent to mechanics, from aggression to compromised stability. This clarity helps teams prepare for future incident assessments, as it illustrates the importance of aerodynamic wake and track surface reactions. The investigation's technical depth not only resolves details of the Hungary collision, but also establishes a blueprint for interpreting similar future incidents with scientific rigor. The Hungaroring surface conditions, including subtle thermal variations and recent resurfacing work, played an unspoken role in the incident. Data indicates that ambient temperature increased grip disparity between racing lines. Verstappen inadvertently carried more load onto the track's outer edge, finding bite where Hamilton's line remained within the cooler, less adherent middle. This grip shift, combined with asymmetric tire wear from longer braking zones, created a friction differential that subtly altered handling behavior. The investigation's insight emphasizes that racetrack variables, often overlooked, can magnify minor trajectory adjustments into contact. Teams now recognize the value of advanced thermal mapping and dynamic grip profiling in race predictions. This context reframes the collision not as an isolation of driver error, but as the convergence of intrinsic mechanical forces and the track's evolving microconditions. It underscores that even the slightest environmental change can tilt the balance in high-stakes racing, reinforcing the complexity of interpreting collision causality solely through driver inputs. Comparisons with past Verstappen-Hamilton clashes reveal how small variables influenced earlier outcomes, from steering inputs to reaction times under braking. The new insight into the Hungary incident enables a reframing of those events, considering whether track-specific factors could explain perceived deviations. Analysts have noted similar grip transitions in historical corners that led to contact, suggesting a consistent theme. Collisions often involve unseen track feedback more than outright intent. This reevaluation adds depth to the driver's rivalry. It shifts the narrative from personal confrontation to a broader reflection on how environmental and technical elements shape competitive behavior. It also elevates the quality of race analysis. Instead of attributing fault based on outcome, experts now advocate for granular data review, making the investigation into Hungary both a clarification of current events and a revision of past interpretations. The result is a more scientific legacy, FIEVs, or these collisions, preserving respect for the driver's abilities while acknowledging the sport's mechanical complexity. The emergence of insightful technical interpretation in collision analysis challenges how governing bodies approach incident resolution. Sporting regulations often hinge on driver behavior, with post-incident penalties grounded in perceived intent. The Hungary case underscores the need for incident assessment frameworks that incorporate rigorous environmental analysis. Governing bodies are now considering new protocols, mandatory telemetry review, track condition assessment, and third-party aerodynamic simulations. These changes would ensure that investigations are informed by objective technical understanding rather than subjective interpretation alone. The current debate illustrates how modern F1 demands a synergy between sporting governance and engineering intelligence. The Hungary insight serves as a catalyst for adopting more scientific standards in adjudication, providing a model for enhancing accuracy and fairness. It also highlights that integrity in ruling requires acknowledging complexity, where external conditions and mechanical forces can be as decisive as human agency. The contested nature of Verstappen and Hamilton's rivalry often centers on personalities, emotions, and championship points. The new explanation for the Hungary crash reframes the relationship through a lens of mutual respect, as competitors navigating minute physical margins, not as opponents pitted by personal animosity. This technical clarity softens the storyline of confrontation, allowing fans to appreciate the driver's craftsmanship behind the wheel. It also reframes the media narrative, enabling commentators to shift focus towards shared challenges rather than conflict. The drivers themselves benefit, their reputations remain intact, and the duel transforms into an exemplar of competitive nuance. It shows that even fierce rivalries can respect the technical complexity of modern racing. For the sport, this approach humanizes conflict, elevating understanding over sensationalism. The Hungary case has spurred teams to invest in deeper incident modeling tools. Real-time simulations combining aerodynamic, thermal, and surface friction data now supplement traditional video review. Engineers can decouple driver inputs from environmental reactions, isolating where physics, rather than human error, triggered unexpected outcomes. This evolution promises more accurate risk assessment before incidents escalate. Teams are already using track readiness models that forecast grip patterns and reaction zones. The Hungary insight accelerates this trend, demonstrating how complexity demands comprehensive modeling. It represents a shift from relying on instinct to embracing empirical evidence. In future incidents, these tools will anchor judgments, ensuring that accountability is not clouded by perception but guided by precision. Drivers are learning from the incident that preserving reputations requires technical awareness as much as consistent speed. Coaching sessions now include track-specific grip sensitivity training, simulation feedback loops, and risk conditioning drills. Drivers adjust steering and throttle intuitively when racing in turbulent air or on evolving surfaces. The insight from Hungary becomes a practical lesson. Controlling outcomes in modern F1 demands scientific perception. It encourages drivers to adapt trajectories not only for speed, but for stability. This promotes a shift from aggressive reflex to contextual control. As a result, driving behavior evolves. Racing remains fiercely competitive, yet increasingly tethered by environmental intelligence. The fresh insight offered into the Hungary investigation transcends simple controversy. It highlights the layered complexity behind every collision in modern racing. Understanding emerges as a powerful antidote to conflict. Interpreting Verstappen and Hamilton's clash through a lens of aerodynamics, grip, and precise telemetry enriches the narrative and preserves the dignity of elite performance. This case sets a precedent. That truth in Formula One resides in the delicate interplay of human skill and physical forces. The result is a competition seen with greater clarity, guided not by drama, but by understanding.